How is it going, my friends? Today's video, I'm very excited for. This is a bit of a slept on spot. This will probably not show up on any blogs or lists or anything like that of like best neighborhoods or whatever in the Twin Cities. It has so many of the characteristics that the people we often help are looking for. Beautiful homes with tons of character, walkability to shops, restaurants, really great access around the Twin Cities, and in a budget of a lot of the people that we help. I'm very excited to present to you St. Anthony Park, St. Paul. How is it going, my friends? My name is Jesse Lynch, and I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To The Twin Cities, and you can check out our website, tothetwincities.com. But this YouTube channel, it's all about helping you find a place to call home, a place to land here in the beautiful Twin Cities of Minnesota. Today, specifically, St. Anthony Park in St. Paul. But that's whether you're buying a house for the first time, the second time, the fifth time, or relocating here from a different city, state, country, planet, dimension. That's who this channel is for, folks who are trying to find a home right here in the Twin Cities. But we also happen to be able to use it as a great way to show off homes that people are selling. That's something we started doing pretty recently. Home tours, very in-depth home tours of all sorts of homes, listings that we have, new builds, etc. So if any of that appeals to you, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel, click the bell to get notified so you can see when we put these videos out. And of course, if you wouldn't mind, give the video a thumbs up, say something nice in the comments or funny or whatever. And as always, if you have any interest in working with us, we would absolutely love to help. We'd be honored to help. You can go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. Totally up to you. They lead to the same spot. So however you want to do it, we look forward to helping, whether you are buying, selling, investing, etc. Today's video, we're looking at St. Anthony Park in St. Paul, not to be confused with St. Anthony or St. Anthony, Maine or anything like that. St. Anthony Park, a neighborhood in St. Paul. And yeah, pretty excited to show you around this place. It is dope.
Right now we are right outside the St. Anthony Park Public Library. It's this beautiful building right behind us. Really good looking library.
It's so pretty, yeah.
Cool building. Right on the corner of Carter Avenue and Como Avenue. Just kind of like right smack dab in the middle of St. Anthony Park. A lot of commercial spaces, really cute buildings. We got the library here, and then it gets a little bit more residential as you spread out. But a couple things that I really like about St. Anthony Park. One, my wife Sarah and I got married here back in 2017, so sentimental value, very high for me. But outside of that, the thing that I like most about it is it really does feel to me like kind of like a small village right smack dab in the middle of Minneapolis and St. Paul. You have pretty much equal access to both cities, but it's got a real kind of small town feel to me.
Yeah, like it's pretty self-contained. Might be some things you have to leave for, but yeah, it has its own little identity, its own little soul, and yeah, like you said, like right in the middle of both. You know, like one of the most central neighborhoods in the entire metro.
For sure. Another thing that I really like about it, some of the coolest homes I've seen in the Twin Cities have been in St. Anthony Park. We're gonna check some just down one of the streets in a little bit.
Yeah, some really beautiful architecture, and yeah, like you know the sort of restaurant situation here, also really great. It kind of reminds me of, we'll talk about that in a second, but it has a nice walkability. Where I was just a little bit ago in the video is quite a bit of hustle and bustle. It's right along University Avenue. That's sort of the southern border though, but there's a lot going on there. There's light rail, a lot of bus action, and along University in general, quite hectic, a little bit of a, hubbub, if you will. That's something one of our clients used, and I thought it was a great way to explain it. But it's not a big piece of land. It's not gonna come up on those lists of like, you know, top 5 neighborhoods because it's pretty small. Yeah. But it is sweet. Might make my top 10, you know. And yeah, population here, just under 7,300 people, which is pretty dense for how small of a piece of land it is, but not unbelievable. It's, according to niche.com, it's ranked the 65th best neighborhood to live in America. Wow. Which, honestly, stunning. Really? Like, pretty crazy. And it's voted the 2nd best place to live in Minnesota, 2nd best neighborhood to live in Minnesota, 2nd to Matt Groveland, which we are both very big fans of. Big time. Those stats kind of blow my mind.
Yeah, thought very highly of by Niche.
Yeah,
apparently.
It is great, but yeah, it's funny how you don't see it on, you know, blogs. Like, it's not talked about as much.
For sure, even just the general word of mouth. I mean, we talk to a lot of people who live in this area, and St. Anthony Park is very rarely, if ever, brought up.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of people who are moving here and who have, you know, gone down Reddit rabbit holes or whatever. Very few ever mention St. Anthony Park by name. But you also, very convenient, like we said, 10 minutes to downtown Minneapolis, 10 to 12 minutes to downtown St. Paul, 20 minutes to the airport. You're right along 280, which maybe as much as I don't love 280, it is like a very accessible sort of highway. If you're looking at a map, 280 is just about as close to the dead center of the metro of just about anywhere in the Twin Cities. Our shop is maybe, you know, in a similar centralness, but very, very central, very easy to get in and out of.
A couple of things I wanted to mention too that we haven't talked about yet. Very, very close to the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Yeah. If you're a fair person, easy walkability there. Also super close to the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota. So it does also kind of have that college town feel to it a little bit, just because of the proximity to the St. Paul campus.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you're like on the dorms, although actually the St. Paul does have dorms, like just outside of the boundaries. But it doesn't feel, you know, maybe like a dinky town. Sure. You know, it doesn't feel like fratty.
Not a ton of bars.
Yeah, but definitely a bit of a vibrancy in the way that you might expect out of like a college neighborhood. For sure. Public schools, as we're talking about schools, the public schools here are decent, but not outstanding. It's gonna be St. Paul Public Schools, which you know, as a whole gets a B-, but it's not a very accurate picture for this spot. 39th most diverse school district in all of America, you know that. 4th most diverse school district in Minnesota. Mostly it's served by Como Park Senior High School, which gets a B, which is not bad for like the schools within the city proper. A B is, oh my God, yeah. I have these very dumb shoes on too. But B is pretty good for within the city proper. You also have Murray Middle School gets a C+, St. Anthony Park Elementary School, that gets a B. There are also a lot of private charter magnet style schools that serve this area as well. I think a decent amount of people who live here might put their kids in those schools. But obviously a lot of people are going to use the public schools as well. For sure.
And as far as home prices go, the median sale price in St. Anthony Park is $375. For single family homes, it's probably going to be closer to like $350 all the way up to, you know, $800 to $900 is at the very, very top, from what I've seen just looking. Last year I saw, probably the coolest house I saw last year in person was in St. Anthony Park, in that like $850 range, but love that. Yeah, the rent to own ratio is about even. I think it's 53-47, 53 own, 47 rents.
Yep. Which it kind of feels like that.
For sure.
You know, there's like a blend of, you know, properties that feel like maybe rentals, and then some that are like immaculately, you know, homeowner style.
For sure.
Some densities in apartments.
Right.
But
The
then,
south region seems like it's pretty highly dense with either condos or apartments.
Yep. And then, yeah, as you get further north, just more and more single family, really. But yeah, there's single families all over the place here. But some of these sprinkled in might be rental homes.
For sure.
As well.
With St. Paul campus being close to,
Of course, right?
Be high renter density.
Yeah, and again, where we started, you have really close access to the light rail to get into either downtown Minneapolis or downtown St. Paul, which I think makes it a great spot for really anybody, but that can be an attractor for renters and such, is to be able to have some of that public transportation.
Definitely.
But I do love one thing, and then we'll talk pros and cons, is the topography. It's kind of hilly over here, and it's
absolutely
awesome.
Yeah. Most of Minneapolis, very, very flat. This neighborhood in particular, winding roads, nice hills. It's not super steep or anything like that, but yeah, just a nice kind of a variety of topography, which is cool.
Yeah, we're actually up high enough right now that we can see like the downtown skyline a little bit. You won't really be able to see it, but just over there. Pretty cool. All right, we're gonna hop over to, where are we going?
I think we're gonna check out our neighborhood.
Yeah, one of Steve's favorite neighborhoods. We're talking through pros and cons.
All right, now we are walking down Cleveland Avenue. We are right next to the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota, what's known as the lawn here. But yeah, I got some very university-esque looking buildings to our right.
Beautiful architecture.
Seriously, yeah, very, very nice. Kind of similar to that the public library that we were both enchanted by.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about some pros and cons of St. Anthony Park.
Absolutely, and I think it's a good list of both, right? I would say, yeah, I don't think this really qualifies as a pro, but it's an interesting thing to note that maybe some people think of as a good thing, but it has a good reputation. On niche.com, it scores quite high.
For sure.
But like we said, still slept on, which is an interesting dynamic.
Definitely.
So whether or not those are pros or cons, hard to say. Probably overall good things. So let me start with the first real pro that I think is like undeniable, will never change, is that the location is extremely convenient to the airport, to downtown Minneapolis, to downtown St. Paul, to the fairgrounds, to both the St. Paul and Minneapolis U of M campus, to just the whole metro as a whole. Wildly convenient spot.
Right in the middle. Great highway access. Yeah, super convenient.
Yeah.
And on that note of, just being accessible, we've got a lot of public transportation in St. Anthony Park.
Yeah.
Light rail down University Avenue, tons of bus lines that service both campuses.
Yeah, it's, I mean, just really great access. Because that's, it's college. Like, they're gonna have that stuff in place.
For sure.
You see buses around here all the time. There's a bus stop right there. And it's very much, a lot of the lines tend to go from different parts of the metro and sort of end up at the different campuses. So yeah, I think that's a big one. You also have, the conveniences of great shops, restaurants, breweries. It's like a very entertaining little place,
Totally. Shout out to Lake Monster and Pica, where Sarah and I got married.
What's that full place you were talking about?
1279 on Energy Park Drive. I'm there almost every Friday for lunch. Love it. definitely a big draw.
Don't creep on him on Friday. Fridays around lunchtime. But yeah, you know, it's very much, it just has so many of those things to offer. Had Dogwood coffee. Dogwood is awesome. And there's quite a few great, you know, coffee shops throughout. Again, college campus, you're gonna find that.
For sure.
I think another pro for me is the diversity of housing stock.
Yeah.
You have a pretty big variety. The floor is probably around $350 for a single family home that is like livable, right? But $350 all the way up to $800, and you can get a pretty epic home or a pretty modest house.
Tons of condos if that's what you're looking for. They've got a lot of that, especially in the south area of St. Anthony Park.
Yeah, like the lofts and along University.
Yeah.
Some very cool stuff there. Right after this, we're actually going to what Steve defines as like his favorite street of homes in the Twin Cities, which I love. I have those too. So definitely stick around for that. The opportunity for an epic home is here for sure. I thought I knew that dude. I think as we're walking up a hill, it makes sense to mention the topography.
Totally.
We mentioned it earlier, but the hilliness is not something you always find in St. Paul or Minneapolis proper.
Absolutely, yeah. A little more variety. Can get some really cool views, you know, as you're walking up or down, I guess, a hill. So that's kind of a little, not a huge pro, but something a little more interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I think it lends to some character in the city.
And the last pro, the public schools are pretty good, and there's definitely a lot of very, very good to great, you know, private charter magnet schools. But that kind of leads us into our cons, which is that the schools are only pretty good.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If you're looking for like elite public schools, you're not gonna find them here. Again, the private stuff, it gets into a really like high level, but a lot of people are looking for, you know, they're coming here to escape bad public schools a lot of the time. And it's just like, you know, it's gonna be better than a lot of what people are used to.
For sure.
But not making any top 10 lists for schools.
Kind of mid-average by Minnesota standards.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another con, which, you know, it's some of the charm of the area, is that there's really no suburban amenities to speak of within the boundaries.
No huge grocery stores, no Target.
Yeah, but you're so close to so many things.
For sure, yeah. Roseville's super close, Falcon Heights have both, you know.
Yeah, as well as, you know, just down University, there's like a Target, Walmart, and all those kind of bigger suburban box stores right off University. So you have a lot of that, pretty close to a Whole Foods, pretty close to like a Fresh Time down University the other way, but within the boundaries of St. Anthony Park, not necessarily going to find that stuff.
And the next con, kind of a two-parter, but both having to do with the housing stock. One, there's a pretty limited amount of housing stock. Generally being a small area, there's not going to be a ton of options that come up on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Also, as we mentioned before, with a high renter density, landlords typically hold on to homes for a long, long time, which contributes to, you know, the lack of new inventory coming onto the market in this particular area. The other part of that is the median sale price, or I guess the entry-level home sale price is kind of, the floor is right at where the Twin Cities median is. So you're only kind of going up from there. Whereas in a lot of areas, there's a little wiggle room to go below the median and still get something that could be move-in ready.
Yeah, I think partly because of the college rentalness of it, one thing you'll see is like the more affordable homes can be in like kind of rough shape because it's like been college rentals for a couple decades or something.
For sure.
But that said, still beautiful homes to be had here. So that wouldn't scare me away. Just something to take note of. Some condition issues on the more affordable end. But I guess that's partly what makes it affordable. You know, another con for me is that just some of the areas, especially along 280, especially by University, it's like industrial, a little bit ugly. Yeah, just like a little bit of dinge in that sort of industrial
warehouse
nature.
Buildings, train tracks, that type of thing.
Which I like industrial. Sure. Like this building is beautiful. It's industrial. I think it's so sick. But there's like a, I don't know, just like a a very like transportationally industrial nature to some of the areas, which isn't that exciting to look at. And you know, I think everybody mostly feels that way.
And the last con, I mean, there's just not that much green space, like park spaces in St. Anthony Park proper. We actually were driving around trying to find one that would be good to shoot in, and there are a few. They're very, very small, and they're not like super picturesque, I guess.
Yeah, it's more like strips of land that couldn't be built on, so they put like, you know, a walking path and a park bench or something like that.
For sure, yeah, but no like, you know, large sprawling parks that you want to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, to the extent that there is green space, it's probably going to be this, you know, probably going to be this campus, which is again an absolutely beautiful campus, not super huge, good amount of green space and all that. But we're actually getting really close to the next spot we're going, which is Hoyt. Yeah, we're like a couple blocks away. No, we're like half a block away. So we're gonna head down there, talk through some other spots that you might want to consider, like what you're seeing here.
All right, now we are on Hoyt Avenue? Yeah, Hoyt Avenue, the very north end of St. Anthony Park. We picked this street because it is super cool. And it has probably, at least that I'm aware of, the highest concentration of like really interesting mid-century architecture and design.
Like proper architect made.
For sure. Yeah. Very, very unique homes, and like one after another. Like sometimes, you know, we were just talking, sometimes you see one or two of these in a neighborhood, but it's very rare where you find an area where there's just like all the houses are have like a very, you know, unique style to them, yet there is still kind of like a cohesion between all the homes.
Yeah, very cool. Like every one of these houses is cool. You know, super neat. Falwell is a block that way.
Yep.
Technically it's in Falcon Heights though, so we're not going there.
More of the same though. I mean,
Beautiful.
If you're interested, if this looks appealing to you, check out Falwell in Falcon Heights, Hoyt. I mean, there's more of this in St. Anthony Park. I mentioned the one house I saw last year that I thought was the best looking home that I saw all year that's not on this street, but there are other areas that have similar style homes to this, so definitely check that out. Yeah,
it's cool. I think a lot of it has to do with probably proximity to the university, kind of the money there, but also just happen to be in the right era. You know, closer to the U of M, Minneapolis, you'll see beautiful homes in like Prospect Park, but they're older, right? They're 20s, 30s built stuff, whereas this just happened to be kind of along the right timeline. We have these like beautiful, interesting homes from the, you know, late 40s to maybe mid 60s or something like that. But super cool spot. We want to talk through for fans of, which if you watch this video or these videos, you know that basically means like, if you like what you see here, maybe check out these other spots. But before we do, I would like to say, if you're interested in working with us, get a hold of us and we will crush it for you. First of all, you can work directly with Steve if you want to. Just shoot Steve an email at steve@tothetwincities.com. In general, you can reach out to us at our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can shoot us an email to info@tothetwincities.com. But again, if you want to work with Steve, steve@tothetwincities.com. But I digress. We're talking for fans of, what do you got?
I mean, I think first, right off the bat, pretty much everything in the lower triangle of St. Paul. So we're talking Mac Groveland, Highland, a little bit of West 7th vibes, Union Park.
Yep, Summit Hill, but that's a little more like extravagant, like mansion-y. And yeah, West 7th is maybe not totally, but kind of has some similarities to it. But the big ones are Mac Groveland and Highland Park.
Especially, yeah.
For sure, they're gonna feel very, very similar. I think another one for me would be like Longfellow, which is kind of that whole diagonal strip in Minneapolis. Let's walk here to avoid this fella.
Everything west of
55 for Hiawatha. Yeah, you're not going to find homes like this. So we're not just focused on homes like this. We're focused on kind of the walkability, the quaintness of the neighborhood. So yeah, little shops and restaurants and stuff like that.
General vibes.
Yeah, general vibes. I think another great one is going to be, let's say, Linden Hills. Linden Hills a little more expensive on the whole than what you'll find here, but has a lot of that like small, like villagey feel that you were mentioning.
For sure. For me, there's a little bit of Northeast here, in my opinion. Just kind of like the mixture of, you know, neighborhoods, a little bit of industrial, good mixture of fun stuff to do, breweries, restaurants, coffee shops, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think a couple other spots that have some of that going on are like kind of the Nokomis neighborhood, over in sort of like the southeastern portion of Minneapolis, and then even southwest Minneapolis has some of that. So maybe like a Fulton, maybe a Kingfield, maybe a Tangletown, something like that. None of those, all of those are probably a little quieter than this, a little less dense. But
also, all of those are kind of close to water. You're not really gonna find, you know, any water in St. Anthony Park.
True. Yeah, very true. And then I think two that are just like right next to here, Lauderdale, Falcon Heights. Technically, the St. Paul campus is in Falcon Heights. And Falcon Heights has some, again, Falwell, technically in Falcon Heights. Beautiful homes. Lifestyle will barely change. If you're like 2 blocks that way, it's gonna be pretty identical. So I think Falcon Heights is a good one. Maybe starting to feel a little more suburban, just kind of gradually.
Getting a little closer to Roseville.
But I think those are the big ones.
For sure.
Maybe a couple fringe spots, but we'll say those are the big ones.
I like the Linden Hills call, the villagey aspect of it.
Yeah.
A little bit easier entry in terms of, you know, cost-wise here.
Yeah, this is maybe like an affordable Linden Hills or something like that. But all right, we're almost getting to Cleveland, where we just were a minute ago, and maybe gonna get hit by a car. So we're gonna call it. Thank you for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel. Click the bell to get notified so you can see when we put out these videos. Say what's up to Steve in the comments. Hit Steve up if you want to work with Steve directly. Steve at tothetwincities.com. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.